I'm Pamela Fox. I'm going to talk about the benefits of HTML slides for programming classes. Now, you might be writing slides in PowerPoint, Google Slides, maybe even writing your own PDFs using LaTeX. So those all have a lot of benefits, but for programming classes, they are not ideal. It's hard to write syntax highlighting code as the instructor, and it's hard for students to copy that code and actually try it themselves. So what I want to recommend for those classes is to write your slides in HTML. So you start with some semantic HTML. You can see this slide here in HTML, and then you add some JavaScript. The most popular fully featured JavaScript library is Reveal.js. It includes support for all the things you'd expect out of slides like keyboard navigation, speaker notes, animations, but also has much more, especially with the plugins that many people have written to extend it, and you can even write your own plugins to extend it. So highly capable, highly flexible. So let's check out what we can do with code, starting with the Highlight.js plugin. That will highlight code for us. So we just have to write the code, put it in a pre-block, and say what type of language it is, and it'll get highlighted according to that language. Now, I like to take it a step farther and make it easy to copy the code. So I added the Highlight.js badge plugin to my slides, and that adds this nice little copy to clipboard. I click that, boom, it's in my clipboard. This is so helpful when I'm going through the slides and I just want to try out code. And I also want the students to try out code, right? So instead of having to fiddling with selection, I just, boom, put it in my clipboard. You could even do runnable code. So this was a quick demo I put together using Python or Pyodide. And here we have some actual runnable code, and we could try running this. And here, this actually has a bug. We could fix it. I could ask students for their input, and boom, fixed it. So depending on the language, you could even run the code inside the slides. And that is just so fun, so interactive. In addition, your slides are still printable. So if you press print, you will get something that looks like slides. You can even automate the creation of that. So we always have the PDF version on our course website right next to the HTML version, so someone can use that if they want to, take notes on an iPad during lecture, whatever they want to use it for. These slides are also accessible because they're written in HTML, and HTML is built for accessibility. So you just have to follow best practices, like when you're doing an image tag, make sure it has an alt attribute so that somebody using a screen reader can understand it. Now, animations are a big part of slides a lot of times, and they can, make diagrams easier to understand and reveal stuff in order. So in Reveal.js, you do that with fragments just by adding a class attribute of fragment to whatever tag you want to reveal. So for this paragraph, we add that class attribute that reveals it, and you can use fragments for anything, even parts of code blocks. So here's a code block, and I want to wait to reveal the results because I want to, ask my students what they think it's going to be. So I wrap that in a fragment, and boom, there's my result. And I do this all the time when I'm asking students to predict code. You can even animate SVGs using class of fragments. So this is an SVG I made in Illustrator to show a nested call expression, and I just, made it into fragments, and then boom, go through it all. Now, if you need to go a little farther and even, write something more intricate, you can use JavaScript. So here's some JavaScript and CSS to show how slow it is to insert things into an array. So slow. So you can really do a lot in terms of making your slides, doing simulations and animations and all that. So to get started, you could start from this slide deck. You could follow the Reveal.js tutorial, however you want to get started, and then you could, upload your slides somewhere. If you prefer Markdown, you can also use that with Reveal.js. If you don't like HTML or Markdown, you can use the WYSIWYG editor, slide.com, and that would be both for creating and hosting the slides. So that is an option. I do think HTML is really fun if you want to get into it, but you don't have to. And if you need inspiration, here's some slide decks that I've made. And if you yourself have made some slides, let me know, and we could add more examples so that others can be inspired, so we can build an ecosystem of CS teachers that are making these interactive, accessible slides for programming classes. Thank you.